When I think about religious life and I think about my life as a Benedictine, I think the thing I am most grateful for and most appreciative of is striving to follow that message in the Acts of the Apostles, I guess, where it says that we hold all things in common. And I love that concept. I strive to live that concept, not perfectly, but I want to do that. And I think that's what I've been called to do.
I have a vivid memory of standing near our bell banner overlooking the Missouri River one evening, and I looked to the south, and I saw the monastery, my home where I live with the sisters. It's my reservoir of hope and joy. And I looked the other direction, and I saw the University of Mary, my place of work, my place of service, where I have an opportunity to meet students and colleagues and guests. And in a sense, I thought, okay, here's the monastery, my place of prayer, and the university, my place of work. Then I asked myself, why would I want to compartmentalize? I think our call is to continually work toward wholeness, to bring our prayer and our work together as one, to bring together our mind, body, and spirit wherever we find ourselves, so that indeed we can give our whole selves to God. We can give our whole selves in our service to each other and into the larger community, so that we can truly, every day, stand before God and say, here I am, I come to do your will.
I was drawn to the Benedictine Sisters of Annunciation Monastery because I was drawn to their passion for the poor. I looked and I saw a community that had Sister Clarice, who was in Africa, sisters who were working on the reservation, Sister Mary Ann, who was involved with the food pantry. That's what drew me, and especially the way that they lived their monastic life together and with prayer. It helped them to be with the poor. I have the opportunity now to make that legacy part of mine as I work in the jails and with the homeless and in what we call the ministry on the margins. It's my turn with that legacy. Same things, passion for the poor, monastic life of prayer, and living together.
As I look back over my years in religious life, which is now 57 years, my memories of these years are about the many ways I've been of service to God's people. You know, I'm in my 4th career. Yes, 4th career. 17 years as a teacher in elementary schools, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 5th grade, as well as school librarian. My greatest joy was seeing how each child developed academically and personally.
So, something I appreciate and have learned about monastic community life is that you have to have a sense of humor to get through it. I realized this on one of my early visits to the monastery. I was just an affiliate, so first stage, visiting for, I think, a Memorial Day supper. We were having ice cream for dessert, and I was sitting at a table with Sister Nancy Miller. She's now the prioress. She wasn't then, and I didn't know her very well at the time, and she's not going to remember this memory. So at the end of the meal, I got my ice cream cone, and I got 2 good-sized scoops on it, and just as I was attempting to take a bite, I was leaning over to talk to someone, and the first scoop, not kidding, fell into Sister Nancy's lap. The second scoop fell on the floor and was subsequently stepped on by Sister Donna, who just happened to be walking across the dining room at that moment. I was mortified because not only are sisters known for their sense of humor, they're also known for being, many of them, very clean, tidy people. But you know, that night the sisters just laughed a lot, and I eventually joined in. Sister Nancy laughed the hardest, even though she had ice cream in her lap. I've had so many good memories since that day, way back in 2006. I've had so many good laughs, so many fun times over my years here living with this community.
My call to the religious life by God was that I wanted to seek God more fully in my life. I entered religious life There I experienced community, which offered contemplation, reflection, studies, and also the community had a vision for different ministries in the church, which included schools, University of Mary, and the hospitals. And after Vatican II, the church was changing. I was then asked to go to various meetings after Vatican Council, where there were 18,000 people, and gradually I kept being sent to more meetings like that. And never did I realize that this was kind of a forerunner for me, what I would be called to do various ministries in the church, which was parish ministry, campus ministry, rural ministry, prison ministry, teaching, and it has been just a most wonderful, wonderful life and experience for me. And there I have found the fulfillment of God in my life.
I appreciate this life because even though we're monastic and we take a vow of stability, my life is never going to be stagnant. Being a sister, it's always going to shape everything I do throughout my life, and I realize that means I'm probably going to make several career changes, and that may scare some people, but it really excites me because those career changes are going to involve service to God and helping His people. So that's very exciting to me, and it's also one of the reasons that I would encourage people to pray about whether or not they have a vocation, and if they feel that maybe they possibly do have a calling to religious life, check it out because this is a very exciting life.
What called me to religious life was always this burning desire in my heart. It always felt like the right call for me. What called me to the sisters out here is they were very familiar to me. It felt like home.
What drew me to Annunciation Monastery was really my call that I got on the Feast of the Immaculate Conception. Then I got an internship down in Yankton and was introduced to the Benedictine way of life, and I just loved the prayers and the joy I saw. And to just stumble upon some of the sisters here at Annunciation Monastery, and I made my first visit here, and I felt at home here. I just knew that this is where I wanted to spend the rest of my life. I was very happy here. The hospitality I had received in my 2 visits as a discerner was just overwhelming, and I just now have grown to feel at home more and more every day that I spend with the sisters here.
Administrative assistant for 14 years at the monastery. In charge, would you believe it, of maintenance, transportation, and purchasing. Being responsible in all of these areas was truly a time of giving for me to serve sisters in my community.
One of my favorite parts of being a sister is living in community. The sisters in community, just seeing their faithfulness to the monastic life, it's just an inspiration to me, and it helps me want to be better. And it's just a lot of fun just being around all the laughter and the joy of the sisters together. They're my family, so it's fun to be around them.
One of the most interesting things about community that I found is how things can happen so unexpectedly. When I first came here, I had certain expectations that I thought would just happen the way I thought they would, and they didn't. I thought that I would be teaching at the university, and I thought that I would be doing spiritual direction, and I thought that I would be living in the monastery. As it turns out, I am now a chaplain at the St. Alexius Medical Center, and I live in the convent on 12th Street in town, and nobody could be more surprised than me, but I'm actually happy here. I really enjoy my job. I spend every day doing something different, but it's still the same sort of thing. It's going around and talking to people and praying with people.
I am a formation director working with women who come to join our community. Presently I'm working with a novice, and as I teach the class, classes and talk about our life, I find myself examining my own behavior with the question, am I doing the things that I expect someone in formation to do? Is my life congruent with the ideals that I present to women in formation? It's integrity. Is the inside of me congruent with the outside of me? And when I preach to others, do I preach to myself? And am I mindful of bringing my life into harmony with the ideals that are presented in our life as Benedictines?
When I think of community, it was the time when I wasn't with the community that is most significant to me, and when I felt their support the most. For 5 years, I lived in Greeley, Colorado, while I was working on my PhD in chemistry. And they were probably the loneliest 5 years of my life because I was there by myself. I was grateful for the support of my community, and that came through each and every day. Email was still new at that time, and I was grateful for that connection home, because pretty much daily, or every couple of days at least, I heard from somebody back home at the monastery. And it was nice to know that they were praying for me, hoping that my schoolwork was going well, that the chemicals were reacting, that I was making the chemicals I was supposed to make for my master's degree, and finding people to interview for my doctoral degree. And they were the ones that helped me stay there those 5 years. About midway through, I was ready to finish a master's degree and just come home. And it was my sisters who said, no, you can do this, you want this, you can do it, stay and finish it, and I'm glad I did. And so it was through that absence of community that my love for my community and knowing that they were behind me the whole time came out even stronger. So as they say, absence makes the heart grow fonder. I guess I could say that absence from community made me realize how important community was to me.
Director of Alumni at the University of Mary for 21 years. I loved working with and planning events for our graduates. Alumni are always remembered in my prayers.
Sister asked me what I had planned to do as a sister, and I said I hadn't really thought of it, but I took a test and it indicated that I like to reach out and be available to people. So I was thinking of possibly becoming a nurse. And Sister said that would be just fine. So I took nursing, graduated as an RN, and I was working about 3 years in the hospital when the administrator called me and said, some doctors are planning on coming, orthopedic men, and we have no department and we have no director. What shall we do? Would you be interested in going away to school? I said, Sister, I just love my nursing, but if you think I can manage that, I will be happy to do so. So she went looking for a school, which was very hard at that time because there were not many schools of physical therapy. And one dropped out, a student at Northwestern University, and they said if I come within a week, I can be included in the class. So down I went, took up my classes, and finished the physical therapy credentials, came back, started a physical therapy department, and the orthopedic doctors started coming, and what a great life. I was in there 25 years as a director. And now when I look back, I think it's the most wonderful thing I've ever done in my life. Many things have happened like that along the way, and I'm grateful for everything.
I thought I would talk about something that's really meaningful for me in monastic life, and that is actually our community life. When I first came to the community, I was very happy to find out that community is important, that we live like a family, and that has always been important to me. The fact that we do things together, we pray together, we eat together, and there's always someone to support us if we, through the hard times, and somebody to rejoice with us in the good times. And then our prayer together. That's most important for me. I love the way we pray, that we sing the Psalms. St. Ignatius says, when you sing, you pray twice. And I agree with him. If we didn't sing, I think I would be sad. Anyway, when I realized how much our community prayer meant to me when I was away at school, graduate school. I stayed with sisters of other communities, and they prayed, but they didn't pray together as community. And it was at that point that I realized how important our prayer is. In our community, we give our very best to prayer. We give it our energy. We are faithful.
What should I sing? Amazing grace, how still thy sound. I count them all to see. That's not right.
You just make up words.
I can make out my own. It's just they can't throw them out.
When you sing with people, does it make you happy?
Yes.
Perhaps we're a little too high. That was awesome.
That was awful.
It wasn't awful.
Stille Nacht, heilige Nacht, I schlaf einsam wach.
Cold hands, warm heart.
Dirty feet and no sweetheart.
It's been almost 64 years since I joined community. And I can tell you it's been a blessing all the way. And I love the singing, I love the prayer life, and that we all come together to pray. Of course, before Vatican II, we prayed in Latin. And I didn't understand the words, but I loved the music and the fact that we prayed together. But when the Vatican II came, I was thrilled because now all these words that I tried to figure out have become real to me. And it's like walking in the midst of God's presence. Everything speaks to me now of God. So to me, prayer life and my own private life, and the fact that we come together as community and enjoy each other, we do so many things together, has been a blessing that I can never thank God enough for.
As a member of Annunciation Monastery for over 50 years, religious life has been a real blessing for me. It has allowed me to pray with the community, also to minister with my community through our sponsored ministries. That has been a really rich, enriching experience. To do something greater for the church than I could possibly do if I was not a member of this community.
It has been a privilege to learn and to teach liturgical music since the mid-1950s. This included teaching Latin masses to grade schoolers before Vatican II, learning and teaching unfamiliar hymns in missalettes, which we didn't have before the council, and learning and teaching English masses from the time of the council to the present day in order to keep up with the new translations. I can still remember when the missalettes first came out. And we were supposed to teach hymns for the congregation. And Cecile and I went to the back room at St. Joseph Convent in Mandan and learned how to sing God's Holy Mountain so that we could teach it to the congregation. A lot has happened liturgically, and it has been a privilege to have been a part of that whole process.
So what brings me purpose and meaning to life as a sister of St. Benedict? There are many things, and I would say each day to live it out to the fullest. And basically, as I was considering the call to religious life, my main purpose was to live the life of Christ in union with Him through the ministry of healing, which I did for 46 years at the medical center, and through the life of the community of joy, prayer, and each other as we work together to serve one another. But basically, all of this is to live your life in union with Christ, so that whatever we do, small or great, is to do all for the love of God, and to always have in mind to receive all as Christ Himself. As the Benedictine motto, that all things God may be glorified.
I continue to give as archivist at the monastery and also as coordinator of our monastery switchboard. You know, our archives contain our history, and I get requests for information regarding sisters or places where they have served. The switchboard, too, is a place of hospitality. As we reach out to all who come, I've loved every minute of these careers. And I'm grateful to God for giving me these opportunities in my life.
One of the wonderful things about community for me has been the way the sisters shared their history, talked about the ministries that they've been involved in, the great variety of things that the community has done. But we're not simply defined by our past. I really appreciate the fact that we're always looking forward to the future and how we were going to adapt, and with great hope. During my novitiate, we did a tour of the original convent, which was 304 Avenue A, and it was a lot of fun to go through and see how those rooms were filled with very many sisters at the time, because it was a very cramped experience for many of the, particularly the younger sisters. One of the things at 304 Avenue A was a very basic place to play sports down. I guess they had a ping pong table down in the basement, and decoration was simply the word pax, which means peace and is often sort of one of the mottos of the Benedictine order. And we still live simply, and we can derive great joy from just simply playing cards with each other, or telling stories and laughing and sharing bits of ourselves.
I'd like to share my dream about the future for Annunciation Monastery. This dream goes back to my early days as a sister, when we were committed to Christ, and committed in such a way that our commitment would extend beyond us out into those people that we had contact with on a day-to-day basis. The dream I have is that we would continue that commitment to Christ in such a way that others would be influenced and others would be impacted by the love we have for each other, because it's the love we have for each other that leads us to the love we have for Christ. And it's the way we serve one another. Our service to each other, first in community, will bounce off of us into those people that we serve in the world. I think this year of Consecrated Life gives us an opportunity to really reflect on why we're here, who calls us, who is this person Christ, and who is it that we want to continue to serve in the people that we meet every day. And that starts with our community. But it's then the people that we serve outside of community that makes us the kind of community that would be a witness to what was written in the Acts of the Apostles. See how they love one another.
I see it being very similar to the way it is. Prayer still central. The thing that I see being a little different is I don't see us having such focused mission work, like everyone working at the college, or everyone being a teacher, or everyone being a nurse. I see us with a more diverse ministry where someone can enter in that's an archaeologist or a psychologist. You don't have to be a teacher or a nurse. Not that it was like that in the past, but I think you're getting people that are more educated now from the get-go, so you're not sending them off to college. So you'll be working with people with varied interests.
The future of monastic Benedictine life is actually really exciting, I think. You know, as Benedictines, we fill needs. We started a school here on the frontier in 1878. Education was needed for kids. We started a hospital a few years later because medical care was needed. What is needed in today's world? I think a kind of spiritual care. And how can we as Benedictine women help and partner with others to reach out to extend that Benedictine hospitality and compassion to others who are lost, lonely, hurting in some way, hungry. Sister Kathleen Atkinson, you saw her earlier in this video, saw a need in our community to help people just getting out of prison. And that's how Ministry on the Margins was born. And now it's expanded to help offer food to the hungry and offer other kinds of care. So I think the future is wide open for us, and I have no doubt that we'll continue to fill needs partly because of our prayer life. We have our pulse on what's happening in the world in North Dakota. Our eyes are open for the needs of the area. You know, some people wonder why we don't wear habits like we used to, but Benedictines were not created we weren't created to stand out among the people. We were created to stand with the people in compassion, solidarity. So I don't know what the future holds exactly. Only God does, and He's not telling. But what I do know is that we, our community, our network of Benedictine sisters around the world, is full of faith and hope and the will to go out and fill needs and do God's work.
I think about being a sister is you always feel like you're in God's hands. You're never left alone. That's the way I feel about it. Even in the evening before we go to bed, I grab one or two of the sisters and we come and pray the rosary. Oh, I love all my friends.
You love all your friends?
Yeah, I love all my friends, and you're one of them. And I have lots of friends. I just have friends. I think after my mother. My mother was such a friendly lady. And of course, all my friends like you, well, you're bound to fall in love with